Okay, three things I'm going to do in speech. Explain interests of the developing countries. Why is it urgent for the developing countries to welcome demographic winter, and why is this the only way? So let's look at the interests of the developing country. Who is facing a demographic winter in this case? So, of course, the main interest of a developing country, of course, they want to be a developed country, but before that, let's look at what exactly is stunting or holding back the development or the progress that a developing country is going through to be developed, right? So most developing countries, let's take Indonesia, let's take Vietnam, let's take Thailand, right? Of course, they mostly rely on jobs or most of the work contributions, they come from agriculture, industry workers or factory workers, right? And basically blue collar workers, right? Blue collar workers who is notorious with low wages and doesn't contribute that much to the economy. And because of this low economy, it is the state is late in terms of development, technology, and etc. And therefore, it is holding back the process of developing countries to be developed. How does a demographic winter happen in the first place? Simply put, it's because of harsh conditions such as poverty and low wages. They would much rather work than, let's say, giving birth, right? And secondly, it could be also of modernization, changes of rules and regulations and standards that now women are easier to access work, access education. There's a detachment, and therefore there is a detachment from the belief that more kids means more prosperity, right? So our stance here is that we believe that demographic winter should be welcomed due to its potential to efficiently support developing countries' growth. Right? So how do we welcome demographic winter on our side of the house? So we would recall or get rid of programs that influence societies or individuals to either have more or less kids. Basically, like planned family programs, etc. Government will essentially pull out of these programs and grants society full agency on how many kids they want, or how many less kids they want, or lack thereof, right? So we would like to preserve that low birth rate through or we would like to welcome that demographic winter through that mechanization, right? So moving on to my main argument on urgency. So what's the premise here? So the premise here is that by welcoming demographic winter, we then proliferate or allow the birth rate to decline, or by taking off our hands, or taking off government influence in those family programs, right? This manifests into efficiency of progressing the growth of the developing country, either economically or socially, right? Why does this happen? So 2 points here. Firstly, about the economy. It efficiently progresses the economy's growth because it supports people doing work instead of, let's say, making kids, right? So that means that more people are working, and more people are choosing to work as they are allowed to do that, and therefore the productivity would more likely to be increased rather than when we don't welcome demographic winter, right? So therefore, because it increases because it has easier access to better jobs. It could also we could also invite investors from outside with. Outside that could provide better jobs. Either way, it's easier for them to choose work rather than the family, right? So secondly, the social effects, or the social practical effects of welcoming demographic winter. So so on our side, women are allowed to not have kids, right? So we give their autonomy for that. So the effect, if we adopt or welcome demographic winter, then women would not be imposed to specific societal rules. For example, being a housewife, which is totally okay. If they want to do that, they can do that. We don't essentially what's it called, banning them to do that. We just allow them to choose whether to choose family or work, you know what I'm saying? And then it then allows them to internalize or consider what they want, and what they want, who they want to be, and it also allows them to be what they want to be. So women don't have to be fixed to who or when they are married to, right? Oh, so like instead of even when even if they on their side, even if they know what they want, they would still be imposed to specific societal rules, such as, oh, I want to be a pilot, but I have to stay at home, and etc., right? And that basically does not exist on our side, because we allow them to choose that work instead of doing instead of having a family, right? So it turns into gender equality, growth in societal order, and not and maturity, right? And then it could proliferate into an inclusive society. So it can only be achieved. Why it can only be achieved on our side? Because we then give autonomy. Because firstly, obviously, we give autonomy to everyone, regarding to every citizens, regarding their birth, regarding family, etc. And we continue modernization into an inclusive societal system by detaching from old sentiments and imposition. That all does not happen on their side, and therefore we are so glad to propose. Thank you.